70 years ago, it would have been a very radical and kind of nutty position to suggest that the peaceful atom could be a problem for life on this planet, especially human life. It would have been a very radical position. You're a nutbag if you're going to challenge the nuclear problem the way it is today. Well, I say nuclear problem. 70 years ago, it wasn't a problem. It was an advanced way of a civilized society expressing itself through its technology to say, we are so brilliant, we have discovered, we have invented a technology that will give us free energy. What a lie. What a total lie. And to counter that position would have been, you're a nutbag, you're crazy. So the unconventional position would be to challenge what is considered to be truth. It's an unconventional position. What I say, conformity rules the roost. Now here I'm going to make a statement about my own perception and position and development as a human being to go against what it is that we believe to be true. And I have received some criticism and suggestions that I'm bringing up positions considering our epic struggle with Fukushima and the entire nuclear industry, that to introduce subjects that are not directly related to this, to keep the focus on our challenge to get rid of this toxic material off our planet and all the other challenges we face, but this is our epic struggle. I want to introduce an idea. And this is something that I have been considering for a while now, and I appreciate and I take to heart people that say, well, don't deflect off something. If you're dealing with an issue, don't deflect off something. And here's where I separate myself, and I have a different approach and understanding about how it is we are ending up, why it is we ended up in this position in the first place, to have to struggle for all of life on this planet, because we've accepted, we were conformists, we accepted something that was told to us that was fundamentally flawed and wrong. So in my recent videos, you will have noticed that among other things, the idea of 9/11 truth, people that still think buildings were brought down by Arabs with box cutters, and the lone bullet that went in different directions on Kennedy, and the idea that people went to the moon on the technology that they say we have, and all the images, the CGI, the computer-generated images that NASA puts out about the reality we live in. Now, here's my point, and people have taken offense to some extent at me bringing up this issue because it deflects. On the contrary, as long as we're tied into the conformity of a system that endorses all the lies and the falsities, like I say, truth is a moving target and is propagated by the people that run the joint. So anyone that call themselves truthers, there has to be an incredible amount of balance. As a truther, there has to be the opposite to express and show nonconformity. And truthers generally think of themselves as having the holy grail of something. And truth is essentially something that over time will emerge through honesty. That's how I see it. It's an a posteriori. It is something, it's not an a priori. Truth is not something that is fundamental part of my nature. I'm not interested in truth. I'm not interested in the information that is being provided. And even the facts will often lead us to different conclusions. Like I said, in the mid-19th century, it was considered to be perfectly normal for a Christian, a Roman Catholic Christian, to have slaves, until a couple of people with a conscience, two nuns actually, I don't remember their names, two nuns came forward and said, we cannot fundamentally endorse the slavery principle and follow the Ten Commandments. It doesn't work. There are two opposite poles going on in the frontal lobes of our heads, and to continue this falsity, this non-truth, is going to be fundamentally destructive to our psyche, to our nature. And that's what I say. I take this position. Okay, let us assume. No, I don't want to assume. A friend said it makes an ass out of you and me. Let's look at the situation that we're in with Fukushima. This is my fundamental focus, my understanding of the ultimate challenge that we face at this time, because all life is under threat. All life is under threat. Whether it's in a matter of a year or 10 or 20 or 50 or 100 years, this is something that will evolve, obviously, as more of these plants blow up like Fukushima over the next period, over the next decade. They're all falling apart on some level. And the new ones that are being created are exactly the same as the old ones. They're not safer. They're not cleaner. None of that stuff is true. So here's my position, how we've ended up here. And that is, we don't allow ourselves to be unconformist. Now, sometimes we are obviously truth, we are obviously wrong as it emerges out of our honesty and our struggle to understand the reality that we face, the reality that we're in. So the notion that we live on a ball, as I have been researching and wondering about, not because, I want to scuttlebutt people's interests away from Fukushima. Quite on the contrary. The idea of living in a reality that doesn't actually impress itself to be balanced within our mind, within our thought process, is quite destructive to the general function of us as people. That's what I say. So if I observe in my reality that we are living on some sort of a surface as opposed to being up in the sky, we're on the surface of this structure, and we're supposedly based on explanations by people who continuously fudge their imagery, that the CGI, the computer-generated images that keep coming out from an outfit called NASA, who claim to be the owners of the meaning of the universe as far as smart science is concerned, present us with generated images that make no sense. They make no sense when you go into this research. And I think it's very important for a population to be docile in order to continue something that is a falsehood. To be conventional and conformist is the fundamental nature of our society, of our culture, of our civilization. I say this is a culture that is based on death because we are prevented, we are encouraged not to question something. And when that happens, we end up with Fukushima. We end up with a technology that is so fundamentally flawed and wrong, and we were convinced to accept it because some people in white coats that are called PhD scientists tell us. So why would I believe people that are getting it wrong all the time on practically everything? Why would I say, okay, this is true as well? And I say this is so important for people to rally around in themselves, to be unconventional in what it is they accept through the medical industry, pharmaceuticals, agriculture, all levels of accepted knowledge and truth need to be questioned. It's just the nature of our being, especially when it doesn't work. So, okay, I'll just come back to the idea that we live on a ball, which is, to me, it's totally ridiculous. And it has ended up in Fukushima because we think we live on a ball. This is how it fits together. It's not contrary to the position that I take in terms of understanding my own fight in this. This is all part of everything. And the idea that we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour and we don't fly off this ball, and you invoke incredible theories and belief systems. One is called gravity, that supposedly takes everything into consideration. So you just sort of throw a blanket over all questions that make no sense and call it some other mysterious force that makes everything work the way you want it to work. And I'm not saying the reality that we live in is a definitive situation. Again, like I say, the truth is a moving target, and it will emerge out of the honesty within people and their desire and their ability to ask the difficult questions that actually threaten the way we function in a day-to-day way. This is the nature of good art as well, that you don't go along with convention. The standards of making something at any given time need to be challenged in order for us to have a perception of us that actually makes more sense and is balanced. And I am not a proponent of truth, I'm a proponent of balance, that something balances itself based on our activity, our thought process, our actions. They need to be balanced in a complete sense. And if truth contributes to that, so be it. But if it takes away from it on any level, anywhere, in any circumstances, as insignificant and minute to the most epic one, like the nuclear industry, those criminals having taken over the entire functioning of this planet now, and we're struggling against the destruction that they have presented us, this is epic. But there is no difference of you standing in a checkout line in a food mart when a mother is pummeling her child and you let her do it. And don't just even say why you're doing this to your child. Why don't you have a discussion? Why don't you try to be more caring and loving with your child rather than pummeling him because he or she is embarrassing you? For example, I'm just saying. There are ways of being integral and honest in our actions that are required in order to face the big challenges. So anyone that has been suggesting and criticizing me for deflecting away from Fukushima, you're wrong, because it's connected. Because our unconventional nature, the part in us that is not conformist, will have to rise to the surface in order for us to meet this challenge. And it's all connected across the board. As long as we believe one lie, we'll take another one as well.